The highlight for 2017 was VidCon Australia. It happened in September and it was down in Melbourne, and it's all about online video. Okay, I'm going to tell you two stories that happened while I was at VidCon. Story 2 involves a map. Let's see how this goes. So let me try to draw you a map of the locations that I'm going to be talking about. So there's a river which is going this way or so, and there's a bridge here. There was the convention centre, which has this really funky design. One of these days I'm going to learn how to draw properly. And then over here there was my hotel room, and then over here there was the burger place that I was mentioning. So you kind of get to see where everything is. Here's where the convention centre is. This is where my hotel room is. Here's the burger place, and here's a park that's never going to be mentioned again. So Michael had a pretty sucky start to his VidCon part of the trip. His plan was fly from Sydney to Melbourne, then drive with a friend all the way back up to Sydney, and for him to see some Australian wildlife. Except his friend couldn't get him back to Sydney. He was in an accident, and so he couldn't drive, he couldn't do anything. So Michael was in a little bit of a predicament, and so what does Michael do? He tweets out, I need help getting back to Sydney. So anyway, the group of friends that we were with decided to go back to the burger place across the road. And we discussed so many different things. We discussed about art design, the future of YouTube, and I can't remember who, but it went back to this situation that Michael was in, and eventually someone asked, how much would it cost to rent a car for one day from Melbourne to Canberra? And all of us began getting out our phones and going on to different car rental sites. And there was a bit of discussion about changing their plans so that way they could get onto this road trip. There was Toby, who was actually interested, a guy named Simon, who was also interested in joining, and there was someone else which I can't remember his name. Hopefully I'll have his name in somewhere in the screen, and he offered a place for Michael to stay while in Canberra. So the plan was Monday, travel from Melbourne to Canberra, stay a night, see Canberra for a couple of days, then catch the Greyhound from Canberra to Sydney, which is about 3 hours, and then spend a couple of more days in Sydney, and then head back home. But we couldn't actually find a proper cost for the car. It was the mobile websites that we were using were not that great, and unfortunately the burger place was about to close. So Michael just said, this would be so much easier on a laptop. And I perked up and said, I've got a laptop in my hotel room and I'm pretty sure I could fit everyone in. So we all headed over to the hotel room, and I'm trying to be hospitable while I'm there. It's like, would anyone like some tea? I unfortunately can't take the crackers because they're really expensive. So I pull out the laptop. Michael did his research that he needed. They found a car. Toby and Simon changed their plans. And the rest of us started to talk about, a whole bunch of different things, and eventually we signed each other's badges. We got into weird nerd fighter topics. We talked about, I think we talked about poetry, but this night was super weird. It was essentially, I tweeted out, well, that was an evening, and everyone else was like, yeah, this is very weird. But weird in this case is memorable. The next day, a whole bunch of us turned up to say goodbye to Michael, Toby and Simon, and you know, wish them well on their trip from Melbourne to Canberra. And that's the end of that story. I was seriously thinking about joining the road trip. The only problem was I wasn't really in a position to cancel my flight and then spend you know, an extra $50, $60 on sharing the car ride up to Canberra, and then spending another $30 on the Greyhound. You know, if I was able to cancel my flight and, you know, get a partial refund, I probably would have done it, but it was just a little bit too hard. So I unfortunately didn't join in.
But here's the thing, you can actually now follow the road trip, and you can do so by clicking on the video here, and that will take you to Michael Aranda's vlog, and you can follow Simon, Toby and Michael as they travel all the way up to Canberra. Also, Toby also has her own YouTube channel, and you can check it out somewhere, probably soon. It'll be on the screen. And her videos are about physics and her life as a PhD physics student as well.